listen, gentlemen and ladies, it is so easy to maintain a healthy life. It is easy. But the consistency that it deserves, that is where the problem comes in. It is tough to maintain that consistency. But when you start enjoying these foods and you start getting these benefits from these diets, trust me, it becomes easier, it becomes interesting, and some of you are already gurus, some of you are already teachers, some of you actually are already spreading the gospel on my behalf. If you get an experience or an encounter with somebody who I have run a consultation with, they will tell you most of the times it's totally a conversation. It's not about a consultation anymore. Because one, we want you to get value for your money. Number two, we want you to appreciate alternative healthcare. And number three, we want those questions that you've always wanted to ask your doctor to be answered by us, because that doctor might not have time. They will tell you that they have lines and people are outside, so they have to clear the lines in public hospitals. Nowadays, they tell you have 7 minutes in a private hospital to just say your problems and finish it up. But we give you adequate time. We give you an ear, and then we get to something called concordance. Concordance means you give me your views, I share my views, and then we also share your doctor's views. We come to a conclusion that this is not helpful, this is helpful, and this concerning your beliefs and all that is happening in your life, we come out with a solution that is generally a holistic approach to healthcare. So, for example, you can come to me and tell me, I have arthritis, I was diagnosed with arthritis, or I was diagnosed with diabetes. You realize one of the things that I do, I never encourage somebody to own a disease. You don't come to me and say, I am diabetic, I am hypertensive. Don't own a disease. That is one. Number two, when you come to me, I will take your story. I will ask you questions about what you've heard about the health condition. I will ask you if you know your health condition. Then from there, we can start figuring out where you went wrong and how to correct that. So it is always a pleasure to have you on a physical consultation. And one day, those people, actually, most of them come on these lives and talk about it on these testimonial Tuesdays. So one day you'll have an encounter with us and you start realizing, this gentleman has something that totally most people don't have. And realize this, that on social media platforms, we are there. Most of us are there. Doctors all over. They are full on these TikTok platforms and on YouTube, and everybody's preaching something different. About weight loss, everybody's telling you something different. About healthy living, everybody's sharing their own story. There are those who support carnivore diets. There are those who support vegan diets. There are those who support keto diets. And this information looks so confusing because you don't have a chance to ask them questions. But we provide a chance for you to ask us questions on that, possibly on these live interviews. Also, we provide you a chance on physical and online consultation. So it's always a pleasure. And I do it with a lot of zeal because I love doing it. I believe in my job. I love my job. And I wish that more of us can come up or can come out and start preaching this gospel. I always appreciate a doctor who comes on my platforms and then starts a debate or a conversation. And through that debate, I learn from him and he learns from me and we learn from each other. What I don't enjoy is when a doctor comes in the comment section and then says, you're wrong. That is somebody who doesn't understand what we are doing. Today, I shared something about the prescriptions, how doctors write prescriptions. And the handwriting that these people have put on those prescriptions, you might be tempted to think that that handwriting is taught in a medical school. If you're on my Facebook and my Instagram or my Telegram platform, you will already see how aggressive those soy boys become. Those rogue doctors become. They start commenting and saying that a prescription language is not directed to the patient. It's actually directed to the pharmacist. And then I went ahead and shared conversations in groups of pharmacists. Pharmacists are busy asking in those groups, who can actually read this prescription? Please read for me number 3. These are doctors like you. These are pharmacists who are actually confused when you write, when you just scribble that bad handwriting. They're actually asking the same questions that, what is this? Who else can understand this? Who else can see this? If at all that is a doctor-pharmacist conversation, how is it possible that the pharmacist does not understand you? How? You're telling me that a prescription is directions to the pharmacist to tell the pharmacist what to dispense, how, and the frequency. Well done. But the pharmacist does not understand this. So where did you learn this? I understand there are codings for the medical language, but they are very minimal. These prescriptions, a patient is supposed to know their diagnosis, what is the disease they are ailing from. A patient is supposed to know their medication and why they are taking those medication. A patient also has a right to know possible side effects of those drugs. And apparently, you write more than 7 drugs on a prescription for somebody who has been diagnosed of hypertension or diabetes. They have 7 drugs. These 7 drugs are already exhibiting something called polypharmacy. And actually, I think we should talk about polypharmacy in the future on a live. My friends, 50 to 58% of deaths are actually coming from medication errors. Do you know what medication errors are? Medication errors are those errors that occur during prescribing, during dispensing, and during giving patient advice. Those are medication errors. They hold up to 50 to 58% of deaths from prescription medication. And now a doctor is here writing you a prescription that has been scribbled, you cannot read it. Well, if it is in a public hospital, maybe they have a chance. This guy, the pharmacist can have a chance or can take a chance to come back to you and ask you to just write well so that they don't shame you in front of a patient, which is ethical. However, in private institutions, when you're running that clinic of yours, you scribble that prescription and your client carries that prescription to the pharmacy, where in that pharmacy, somebody who is selling there has never been in a medical class or a pharmacy class. He's not a pharmaceutical technologist. He's not a pharmacist. Has no knowledge about medication. He's just there selling drugs. Remember, drugs are supposed to be dispensed and not sold. So he's just there or she's just there selling drugs. And then she gets this prescription that is scribbled. In her head, she assumes that this condition, this is the same drug, this brand of drug. And you doctors, stop writing prescriptions in brand names. Stop writing prescriptions in brand names because brand names are company names. Brand names, nobody knows them outside the country. There are brand names that we know in Kenya that cannot be interpreted the same in Uganda. So start using generic names so that even if you scribble, the generic name is easier and is universal. But when you put a prescription in brand names, you're actually promoting that company, that pharmaceutical company. And this is what we're trying to discourage because prescriptions are supposed to be written in generic names. A drug has 3 names. One is the brand name, the one that company puts on it. Number 2 is the generic name, the one that is known worldwide. For example, if I say paracetamol, you cannot hold me accountable. But if I say that other brand, the one that you put in water and it's an effervescent tablet and then you drink it, you know it? So if I say that name, they might come for me. But if I say paracetamol, that's a generic name. Nobody can come for you. It is an universal name. If you go to the United States, somebody knows paracetamol. If you go to Uganda or Zambia, somebody knows paracetamol. But those brands that are in Kenya for paracetamol, there are so many, including counterfeits. So when you write a prescription with a brand name, you're actually promoting a certain pharmaceutical company. We start to question if at all you are on a payslip from that pharmaceutical company. Traveling through time is saying weed for me is dangerous addiction than those who take the opioid. Opioid is basically the narcotics, the morphines, the tramadols, the pethidines, and most doctors are addicts to pethidine. They inject themselves with pethidine to just get high before they even perform a surgery. Living it has not been easy journey. Allow me to tell you this for free. Wheat products are the most annoying in terms of addictions. Why? Because in wheat, we have something that is called ectophins. Ectophins mimic internal painkillers. They are internal. In our bodies, we produce internal painkillers from the saliva, from the brain. They are called the endorphins, and they are also happy hormones. We also produce them after sex. These are hormones that bind to a receptor that is called the mu receptor. They stimulate that mu receptor. Now, this mu receptor is also stimulated by opioids, the morphine, the tramadols that you take all the time, the pethidines. All those stimulate that receptor. Okay, and then they give you a fake high. They kill pain, yes, but they give you a fake high, euphoria. You start feeling very high. That is the danger in the addiction that is coming with morphine. Now remember, ectophins in the wheat products actually stimulate the same receptors as morphine. So you can imagine how that chapati is highly addictive. You can imagine why you are always stuck on that mandazi. You can imagine why you are stuck on that favorite spaghetti brand and that favorite macaroni or pasta brand. You now know you are stimulating, not only are you stimulating dopamine, a feel-good hormone, you're also stimulating endorphins, the happy hormones, and then natural painkillers. So they help you mask pain, they help you feel good after eating that chapati, and you become so addicted to that chapati. That's the reason why it's so hard to quit chapati. My friend, I struggled with chapati addiction. I could eat chapati now. I quit chapati for 2 days and I'm back. I also struggled with that black colored soda. If a doctor writes a prescription in those brand names, you are in trouble. You are in trouble because those brand names are very stubborn. Those brand names, nobody actually knows about them. It's just the companies that have patented the name, so they use that. So don't ever take a prescription that has been written in a brand name. Unfortunately, you people cannot know it because you're just a client. The pharmacists and the pharmaceutical technologists are the ones who know this. But unfortunately, they just go ahead and dispense because, of course, nowadays it's just business. Okay? They are in business. They are not here to change anything. They are not here to even question the prescription. Once they get a prescription that has 7 drugs, they even know that there'll be a chance of drug interactions with this prescription, but they cannot do anything. Now remember, every drug that you take through the mouth has to go all the way to the liver for processing. So when you take that paracetamol through mouth, it goes to the stomach. But have you ever asked yourself, how is it that the drug goes into the stomach and then clears the headache? Why don't we just inhale it so that it goes straight to the head and clears the headache? It has to go into the stomach and then it's absorbed through the portal system, goes all the way to the liver, and in the liver it's processed, made either inactive or active or detoxified. Same to food. So the liver plays a very important role in detoxifying drugs and also activation of drugs. We talked about that when we were talking about that function of the liver. But don't worry, if you missed it, we'll still do it over and over until you get it. So in the liver, these drugs can get to interact and then start causing toxicities. They can actually affect the effectiveness of other drugs. Okay? So they can even make those drugs, other drugs, become more poisonous to you, or less poisonous, or more active, or less active. And then they can make them more soluble so that they can be excreted out of the body, or they can make them less soluble so that they can stay more in the body. Okay? So having that prescription with 7 drugs, you will never lack a chance of drug interactions. And drug interactions actually make the liver go bad. It's toxic to the liver. It's also toxic to your system because it will cause you all the side effects that you want. Now, this goes to people who are diabetic and people who have hypertension. You have drugs that are more than 10 on one prescription. You know the drugs very well, but you don't even know what hypertension is. You know your drugs very well, but you don't even know what diabetes is. And this is the challenge that I'm getting every time I do physical consultations. I simply ask you, what did your doctor say about diabetes? You're blank. Most people have always blank. And then I ask, what are the drugs that you're taking? They are quick to mention that drug, that combination. They are quick to mention that the doctor changed from this drug to this other one. Then I ask them, what are you treating? I am treating ugonjwa wa sukari. But you ugonjwa wa sukari you treat, what is it? What is ugonjwa wa sukari? I was just told there's high blood glucose and I have to bring them down by taking these drugs. Then I ask you, where do you think these drugs take that glucose to? Because if already you are diabetic, your blood sugars are misbehaving, and then you take a drug to lower your blood sugars. But you're diabetic, which basically means your blood sugars are overboard. So where are you going to take this glucose to? Because it's toxic to the body, that's why you're taking drugs. But where do these drugs take that glucose to? That's the question I start asking you, and you start biting your tongue. Daktari, nyinyi ndo madaktari, mimi ni mgonjwa tu. Now, it is your right to have this information. It's your right to know what diabetes is, what are the side effects, and what are the symptoms. And how the drugs work. So you cannot tell me, wewe ndo daktari, wewe ndo unajua. No, you're supposed to be empowered with this information. So start asking your doctor these questions. I was talking about the energy drinks. First things first, they knew we are very stupid. We will buy the idea that there's energy there. The same way they knew we are very ignorant, we will think that carbohydrates are energy-giving foods and we will rush those carbohydrates. So they made it clear, it's a marketing strategy that this is an energy drink. Then of course when they market, they put a gym guy there. Okay? They use your favorite, that one, that that energy drink that has an M on it. It's being marketed by your favorite hip hop artist in Kenya, a big guy, because he's always in the gym. So now they use that gentleman to market it so that you think when I drink this energy drink, I'll get the energy to lift heavy and I'll become a monster. I'll become a huge guy. Please, there is no energy in that thing. That thing is filled with fructose and caffeine, high doses of caffeine. Those will affect your sleep patterns. Remember, we need our sleep. Because for holistic healthcare, you need sleep, you need diets, you need fasting, you need exercise, you need water and rehydration. And then you need the sun. Okay? And then you need salt also. So now, they put sugar in that product, and the sugar that is there is actually fructose. Fructose is the dangerous sugar that we talk about, the fruit sugar, the honey sugar, and the sugar that is always present in processed foods. A very dangerous sugar. It's always converted to fats. And the body does not know how to utilize fructose. You see, your cells can utilize glucose until it's enough, but your body does not know how to utilize fructose. So when the body does not know how to utilize fructose, you know what happens? It takes it all the way to the liver, and in the liver, it is actually converted to fats, the triglycerides. These are the same fats that you confuse with cholesterol. Triglycerides are the most dangerous fats. They cause you a fatty liver, they cause you insulin resistance, and you start having all these metabolic conditions. So as you eat those fruits, you're actually loading yourself with fructose. As you take that honey as a substitute to sugar, you're actually taking sugar. As you eat that processed food, do you ever ask yourself, what is sugar in form of fructose doing in tomato paste? That ketchup that you use all the time on your potato chips and French fries. What is sugar in form of fructose doing in that product? It's for your addiction. The same addiction that comes with caffeine and this fructose in that energy drink. So avoid energy drinks, because energy drinks actually kill the manhood. If you're a man, don't be lied to that if you take that energy drink, you'll have the energy to pound the arm. You will not have any energy. You're just getting a fake high because of caffeine and sugar. And then as you continue getting that fake high, you become addicted to that product, and now you start killing your manhood because you block the blood flow towards your penis. There will be weak erections. You block nerve supply towards the penis, there will be no erection, and now you suffer ED, erectile dysfunction. And after that, of course, they've created a market for the sildenafil so that you can take it and get your erections back. Fructose, once it causes insulin resistance, you have the metabolic syndrome, and kidney issues are part of that metabolic syndrome. And now remember, the kidneys are the ones that instruct the bones to just bring calcium and phosphorus together, and then these calcium and phosphorus compounds are deposited in the bones to make a strong bone. Also, kidneys are the ones that activate vitamin D at the final stage. For you to form 1,25-dihydrocholecalciferol, which is the active compound of vitamin D, you need functional kidneys. And when sugar kills the kidneys, you have inability to actually synthesize and make vitamin D active. Therefore, that means weak bones. Okay? Yeah. And also remember, in women, when you get insulin resistance, your insulin levels are going up, your glucose levels are going up. Now, high glucose levels and high insulin in the system actually causes a rise in your estrogen levels, and estrogen causes you weak bones.